Greetings and salutations, Derek. They always tell me my mic's not close enough. Is that close now?
That's what I always tell you.
Okay. Greetings, salutations. My name is Jake Query. That's Derek Schultz. This is Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network inside the Lou Malnati's studio and presented by Bailey & Wood, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Those are our sponsors.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lending presenting Query and Schultz. First off, right off the top, we should say a hearty thank you to Ball State University for their hospitality on Saturday for homecoming. Unfortunately, the Cards on the short end against Eastern Michigan, but it was a glorious day at Schumann Stadium. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And they treated us great. So
yeah, would have loved to see a win. Obviously, a little disheartening on HoCo to have a loss.
Homecoming.
But, a HoCo loss for Ball State, and they're still fine, 4-4, 2-2 in the MAC. They still have bowl eligibility and potentially a MAC West title chance still right in front of them. So
a lot of parity in that league. A lot of parity in that league, right?
That's right.
There was not parity over the weekend. It was a kind of a parody in ODY terms. The Colts and the Tennessee Titans. I will simply give you the floor first, Derek, and your thoughts, your impressions on what we saw in this pillow fight of the AFC South.
More of what we've seen the last 7 or 8 seasons. This team is not good enough to win this division. They're not good enough to win the division. They're not good enough to beat Tennessee. They're not good enough to win in Jacksonville. And they look like they are going towards their 8th straight season of not winning a very winnable division. So last week they had the 34-point outburst against Jacksonville, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe this is something that they can build upon. But, Jake, you know me. I'm a big sample size guy. Sample size speaking, the Colts have played 7 games. Now, you tell me, this is going to be pretend like you're in your class to earn your degree, because this is a really difficult question to answer. The Colts offense put up 34 points against Jacksonville. Really, really good performance, right? Even against a Jacksonville team that, is not very good. In the other 6 games, they're averaging 13.1 points per game, and they've looked like a disaster offensively. So, which is the outlier? The Jacksonville game, 1 game of 7, or the other 6 games where the Colts offense has been bad?
Yeah, here's the problem, Derek, and this kind of feeds into what I talked about this morning. In life, there are rules and there are exceptions to those rules, right? And more often than not, you find success in life by understanding the rules and assuming that that is going to be the norm. The Colts' problem is with Matt Ryan playing at quarterback, with their offense, they had a really strong performance at home against Jacksonville. They protected him. They used a hurry-up offense. It was effective. And you thought, okay, this is the guy that, here we go. I think we have enough, to your point, in the sample size to now know that is the exception.
Yeah.
And the rule is that they are anemic offensively. Their offensive line is a disaster. Their $20 million guard is getting trucked.
He's just ordinary. Yeah, he's playing like an ordinary player.
And so the Colts are trying to live by the exception instead of by the rule. And that's why for the 5th time in a row, they went down to play a franchise that is the exact blueprint of what Jim Irsay says he wants his team to be, and what the marketing department says the Colts are, and what the social media account says the Colts are. Tough, gritty, forged, look, punch you in the mouth, built in the trenches. That's all the things Tennessee is. And that's all the areas where they continue to absolutely smack the Colts and walk away laughing.
The defense gave up 12 points, 254 yards. You have to win that game. If you give up 254 yards in the 2022 NFL and give up 12 points, because obviously the pick 6 was the other 7 for the 19,
right?
You should win. And the Colts every week, Jake, are scoring 10 points. 12 points, Derek. 14 points, 17 points. You can't win like that. You can win once in a while like that. You can slop your way to a 12-9 victory when Russ Wilson hands it to you in Denver. You could take advantage of 5,000 Chiefs mistakes and a total fluke win over KC. But that is not a sustainable path to winning. You have to score points. and they can't score.
This team is 3-3-1, right?
Yeah. It's a miracle that they're 3-3-1 with this offense.
They could very easily be 1-5-1, right?
Yeah.
They are one slur by a Chiefs player and a late flag away, and one Russell Wilson healthy shoulder away from being 1-5-1.
They're also McLaughlin instead of Blankenship away from being potentially 4-2, right? That's how thin the margin is. But that's
Fair.
what makes it so frustrating, Jake, is that you don't have to be very good to be good in this league.
Right.
Everybody kind of sucks. Look around right now. Everyone kind of sucks. The Chargers kind of suck. The Buccaneers kind of suck.
The Packers?
The Packers kind of suck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not difficult to, through these first 7 games, to show yourself as a contender.
Derek,
and the bar is not very high, and the Colts just keep bumping their head up against that bar.
It might be sitting next to you that does this to me. I don't know. But I've just decided right there in that moment that I've just had enough.
With me?
No.
Oh.
I've just had enough
with the Colts?
Of the Colts being all talk and no show. I've had enough of the Colts general manager going anywhere that he is interviewed and asked about certain areas of the football team, kind of arrogantly answering like he's smarter than everybody else, and things like the offensive line and in the trenches and the receiver are taken care of and don't need to be worried about, and just wait and let it play itself out. I'm tired of a coach that when they are down at the half tells, and it's reported on the halftime of a broadcast, that he told his team, like, this is what we do. We get down, and then we slice the lead in half to start the second half, and we get them right where we want them. I'm tired of an owner that is willing to stand next to a bus and next to a plane with the engines going when they play well, but then when they lose is nowhere to be found. And I'm tired of an organization that continues to tell us that they're going to be tough, disciplined, gritty, Rust Belt, Midwest value, hardcore working underdogs. They're going to scrap and claw until the very end and keep you interested in coming back for more. And then they go out and they suck. I'm tired of all of it. And I'm tired of the same tired-ass 70s and 80s music at a Colts game while a mascot throws Nerf footballs into a trash can, and that's supposed to be the only thing to entertain people so that they don't notice that their team is getting its ass kicked by somebody else from the division right there in the home stadium. I'm tired of all of it.
You know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of me getting angry about it. I'm not even angry about it anymore. If there's anything if there's anything that I'm angry about, it's wasting another beautiful fall afternoon watching them flail around for 60 minutes. Like that's 3.5 hours of my life that I can't get back. I would have rather raked leaves than watch them. Honestly,
they say
I would have rather done that.
I read the other day, Derek, just so you know, that mulching is better. You don't rake them and throw them out. It's better to get your lawn. It's faster.
I have a lot of leaves.
It's faster.
I have a lot of
I understand,
leaves.
but it's faster. You just mulch them.
No, I can't
and then
do all that.
It goes into the soil. It's better for them in the.
I have two big, like huge. I don't know if they're like oak tree or maple trees. Or
it doesn't. You just mulch them up. You
no,
chop them up
there's
with a mower.
too many.
No, there's
I
not.
have a ton.
I've seen. No, I've seen.
I'm like chin deep in leaves.
Well, that's not that
my
many.
House. In Midtown, we have a lot of beautiful old trees, and so there is a ton of foliage falling.
Then rake half of them, but mulch some of them.
Okay. Remind me, now, you've been a homeowner how long?
What's that?
You've been a homeowner how long now?
Shannon has 5 acres.
Have you ever mowed? I shouldn't say that. Since the Clinton administration, have you mowed a lawn?
Oh, I didn't then.
Oh, well, I was going to say, you probably did like in the Reagan years for your dad?
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And up in Steinmeier, you probably mowed the lawn?
Well, Mrs. Unversaw. I mowed her lawn.
Okay. But not your own?
No, my dad did. I was smart. I tried it one time. I screwed it up. My dad's like, I'll do that from now on.
You had a pretty good life as the third kid / only boy, didn't you?
Yeah.
You had it pretty good. But let's get back to it, Jake. I mean, the frustration, the anger, the apathy, whatever you're feeling right now, what it all stems towards is everyone's patience has run out.
Totally.
We are collectively, I'm not using we as the term of the Colts. I'm not trying to be like I'm part of the team. Media, fans, everyone that follows this football team, the owner included, is tired of the result not coming.
Right.
And we can talk about the process all we want. Like I've said this on the show. I think the process with Frank Reich as an offensive mind and how he conducts his team usually is right. I think the process with Ballard even as a decision maker has been right some of the time at the very least. I think there are positives with both of those guys, but it's a results business. You have to produce the results. And if the result is getting swept by Tennessee every year and going 8-9, 9-8, 7-10, whatever it is, and going nowhere, that's not the right result.
Derek, I think that one of the frustrating things, to be fair, one of the truly frustrating things about the Colts is Frank Reich is a really nice guy that you want to see do well. Jim Irsay is a good owner with a good heart who you want to see do well. Matt Ryan is a solid quarterback who has had a great career and is a good family guy that bought into Indianapolis, and you want to see him do well. Jonathan Taylor's a super nice guy from what we know and a wonderful talent on the field, and you want to see that rewarded by him doing well. These are the things that make it that much more frustrating and insulting, to be honest with you, just to see them then go out. They're poorly constructed. I think it comes down to that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Yeah, that's one of the tragic flaws, I think, of this team.
I don't know that I would go so far as to say that Chris Ballard is the culprit here, but Chris Ballard is the one that seemingly gets the most credit for the least result.
He gets the biggest pass for some reason.
Right.
And I don't understand why. Like
I know why.
Hearing,
I know why. It's because he wears Brooks Brothers sweaters and has nice hair and speaks in the Southern drawl, and he's replacing a guy that wore too small of a TJ Maxx suit and sweated all the time. That's why.
And was mean. Yeah, I get that there are differences between we like who is. It's the same thing with Pagano,
optics.
right?
It's optics.
We liked Pagano more than Grigson because Pagano was nice to everybody and Grigson was mean, and really both of those guys weren't up to snuff. Just like it appears that Reich and Ballard weren't up to snuff. But, Jake, with this offense the way that it is, it's just hard to see the turnaround coming. We keep talking about, well, if the Colts fix this, if they fix that, is the offensive line fixable? They've tried everything. What else is there? You can fire the position coach, I guess. What else is it there for the Colts to do at offensive line to fix this?
Has Quentin Nelson regressed?
Yes. Braden Smith has regressed.
He got
Ryan Kelly has
$20
regressed.
million, and now all of a sudden, and how about the Colts sending out a tweet? Who is running the Colts Twitter account? Fourth quarter, they send out a tweet, run the damn ball. Really? They did 27% of the time. Jonathan Taylor had 10 carries. 10. You know why you don't run the ball? Because you're getting down. You're getting behind. You're scoring 13. They've scored 13 points in the first quarter all year.
And even the Taylor stuff, Jake, you saw it yesterday. Taylor's success running had nothing to do with run blocking. Taylor was making guys miss.
Right.
He looked good. He
His
looked
vision
fresh
was great,
and healthy and all of that. So that was Taylor creating something out of nothing far more than it was anything the line. And you know, turnovers-wise, if you're going to turn the ball over 2-3 times a game, this isn't a defense that is any longer turning the ball over.
You're dressed like it's spring.
Oh, yeah. I was so happy to wear shorts. It's 77 degrees. We're taping this on Monday. So
But
I was happy to wear shorts.
your shirt is very spring, too.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice, happy color.
It's
because we're talking about sad topics.
It's autumn.
Doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
Doesn't feel like it today. I like how this shirt looks on my arms, too. Like, see the camera? Like, if the light hits just real quick. There we go. Look at that. That's tasty. That's a nice little appetizer for everybody out there. What were we talking about? Talking about the Colts?
It's tasty and a nice appetizer.
You know what's funny, Jake? And actually, this isn't funny. This is kind of sad. And maybe an indication of where the Colts are right now. You know the least of their problems offensively? What position has been
tight end?
The least of their problems? Well, I mean, tight end was kind of a no-show yesterday, right? You're right. The tight end has been better than we thought. But the least of their problems, honestly, has been receiver.
Well, here's the thing. The sad thing, Derek, give credit to Chris Ballard on this. Chris Ballard said in receiving, I think we're going to be okay at receiver. We're going to be okay at receiver. I'm not worried about wideouts. Okay.
And they've been okay.
And they've been okay.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman Jr. is a really good player. And Alec Pierce is obviously a good player. And that guy right there that you see, give credit to Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, I think, is a guy that when he came into the league, we thought was going to be the deep ball, Andre Rison, Jamar Chase, Jerry Jeudy level behind the defense receiver. And he's probably not. But he's turned into a very nice, whether it be just a quick out or an over-the-middle catch for 6 to 8 yards, Paris Campbell's become a nice target for Matt Ryan. Give him credit there because, it's been a long time for him to get on the field and be on the field consistently. But, Derek, what I'm worried about is, and this is where I say they're poorly constructed, my worry is that you have Michael Pittman Jr., who's a young player and a good player. You have Paris Campbell, who's a young player and a good player, and Alec Pierce, who's emerging, and Jonathan Taylor, that's a good running back. And you know what? None of it matters because the Colts keep shopping for quarterbacks at TJ Maxx, and eventually they're going to have to say, okay, we got to start this over and get a young, solid future quarterback, and guess what? That sets you back 2 years.
And your foundation is an offensive line that stinks.
Correct.
The foundation of the house is the offensive line, the highest paid offensive line in the league, and it stinks.
Correct.
I mean, so none of this other stuff matters. It doesn't matter that the receivers look good because the line stinks and the quarterback stinks. And so who cares? With Campbell, all we were asking him to be, because, the bar of expectations is lowered year by year with Paris Campbell, with the health and all of that. All people were asking him to be was a number 3, and now he's showing himself to be a perfectly fine number 3. Like, Paris Campbell is not a game breaker that he was made out to be, and I don't think he's ever going to be.
He's a solid player.
I just, at this point, I don't think he's ever going to be like this dynamic, kind of like Nyheim Hines. We keep talking about them like they're going to be these dynamic game breakers, and they're just not, and that's okay. Like, Hines is still a useful player. Campbell is still a useful player. So at the very least, Paris Campbell has shown himself to be capable.
Right.
But actually, that transitions into our Lou Malnati's, who's cooking for this week. Thanks to our friends at Lou's.
The best. Lou
Delicious
Malnati's
pies.
is the best, right?
Really, really good
And
wings.
Derek, let me tell you something. The Chicago deep dish, Chicago-style pizza at Lou Malnati's is obviously what you've come to know and love. People would drive 185 miles up to Chicago just to go to Lou Malnati's or buy the gift card to get the frozen Lou Malnati's. Now it's right here in central Indiana. But, it's not always Chicago deep dish pizza. They've got a fabulous traditional-style pizza. And then the white pie that we had.
Hey, what'd you call it?
I'm going with what they call it.
Oh, what do they call it?
Well, they call everything else that they do pizza. That's why it's a pizzeria.
Oh, wow.
But that
So
one,
they
because
call
of
it
the fact
the
it
white pie,
rhymes, it rhymes with white.
Wow.
Eric. Figure it out.
That's interesting.
It's
Look at you. Hopping on the pie train,
no,
my man.
Nobody's Derek. You got to know your audience. You got to know your audience. We're not out east. Where you grew up, it might be pie. Here, it's pizza.
It's a pie. It's a white pie. I'm using your words.
That's because it rhymes together.
What I've learned from being
It's not
with you,
literal. It's like saying, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." Nobody's actually eating a horse. It's a phrase.
What I've learned from being with you for so long, besides all of your most closely kept secrets, is you always sort of come around to
I'd like
my
to know.
line of
I'd like to
thinking
know one
and
secret
where-
of mine that you know,
where I am. Well, I don't know if this is the platform to divulge those.
because you don't know any.
Those I need at a time of my choosing, should I be wronged in some way. You're actually lucky that some of those secrets have not come out, because you have wronged me many times. It's just something that best friends do. You fight, you kiss, you make up, and then everything's fine. And that's what
I can assure you.
That's what we
Part of those,
But
might
I'm
happen.
glad that you're on the white pie train with Lou Malnati's, because it is
fabulous.
delicious white pie. Available right now through the end of 2022. So order.loumalnati's.com. But Paris Campbell's my who's cooking. 10 catches at a career high, and is the first time in his career, Jake. Now take this with a grain of salt, because he's missed so many games over his career. But it's the first time in his career that he has had back-to-back games with a touchdown reception.
He's played well. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 games, it was a slow start.
Now,
but the last 2 games he has played
I'm
well.
going to table my who's cooking for a later segment, and I'll bring back Lou Malnati's discussion in that, because I have one that we're going to talk about later in the show as well.
Yeah, as long as you use the term pie, then we are all good.
Yeah, not going to happen.
All good. Delicious white pie. We come back on the show, more on the NFL. What stood out to us about Week 7 and looking around the rest of the league? Nobody's scoring right now. I mean,
It is weird.
the Colts can't score at all. Some teams are scoring a little bit, but nobody's really scoring a lot.
How about the surprise? I want you to think about this. The team, better or worse, that is the biggest surprise so far in the season, for good or bad.
Okay. Yeah, I can come up with a couple of examples.
As can I.
There.
There are 2 that jump out to me.
We'll come back with those
Opposite
examples
coasts.
and some more food. Hoagies and Hops, Hero of the Week, next.
Love
Here on
that.
Corey and Schultz.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate.
They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. It's Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks so much for joining us.
Can I reveal to our audience what I just witnessed?
It was a commercial break, so nothing really, just you answering
We have
text
a-
messages and me
We have a
scrolling through Twitter.
beautiful and delicious sandwich from Hoagies and Hops here,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And as we're getting ready to sample the sandwich, and don't even think about trying to turn this around. I know exactly which side is yours.
I touched one tomato.
No, you did. No, let me tell you what you did.
Okay.
Derek brings out the sandwich for Hoagies and Hops. I'm watching very carefully.
Just watch all you want.
And he says, he's getting it, and he says, oh, I forgot to bring a knife to cut this in half. So he then lays the sandwich down and starts manipulating where things are going by moving it around with his little hairy
I touched
fingers.
one tomato.
And then it got some of the sauce on your finger, and you did this.
Yeah, it's
And then-
really good sauce.
And then you went back to playing the piano on the sandwich.
No, I did not touch the sandwich after touching the finger.
You touched one side of it, and I know
I
exactly
touched
the side you
one
touched.
tomato. Do you want so you don't
No,
want that tomato?
I know the exact side you touched.
Okay. Here. You take the sandwich.
See, you're trying
And
to.
I'm not trying to do anything. You do whatever you have to do to make it sanitary for you.
Did you say you touched the tomato?
I touched the tomato on the end
Well, you're
closest
getting
to the
both
door.
of them then by default.
Okay. Well, now you touched
Zero
the second
chance.
tomato. Oh my god.
Zero chance. That
Oh
I'm
my god,
touching-
you touched the second tomato. Jeez. Can't believe it. Oh man, you ripped the sandwich in. Like, who cares?
Here, as a matter of fact, I get the
Just
paper.
eat it. It's delicious.
There.
Okay. This here is the Lancaster.
Lancaster. You're the one that's from the east.
I'm not from PA though, so this is still some of this is still kind of foreign to me.
Ister.
Lancaster.
Okay.
All right. I don't think we've had this sandwich yet. I don't think we've had it. And I was in there. I actually took Ashley and James in there on Saturday night. We couldn't figure out what we wanted for dinner. And Ashley's like, "You want to get hoagies?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I do." So we sat out on the patio, and she had a Hog Island, and I had what did I have? Always Sunny, and then my son had a turkey sub. But I was looking at the menu on Sunday when I was in there with Donnie. They were celebrating. The Phillies had just won the pennant, and they were celebrating in there. It was on all the TVs. And I said, I don't think we've had the Lancaster.
It's wonderful.
So that's what this is.
You know what would go great with this? A tomato.
A really unique sandwich. Christina's cucumber dill sauce, delicious. I put it on salmon. Sometimes I get it as a side when we're making salmon, and I bring it home. Lettuce, tomato, bacon bits, and Munster cheese.
It's really good. It'd be really good with a tomato. What are you doing?
It's a little messy to eat, but really excellent.
Hoagies and Hops, since Derek is eating and is being too rude to tell you this, I can tell you is at 47th and Boulevard. Is that right, Derek?
For a second.
42nd and Boulevard. Sorry, I always get that confused.
You live right there in Midtown.
Huh?
You live right in Midtown. How do you not know this?
42nd and Boulevard, Hoagies and Hops. And they bring us each and every week our hero of the week. And actually, this kind of goes along lines with who's hot and who's cooking. But right now, in terms of our hero of the week, once Derek is done eating his food and his sandwich, the one that he pawed all over, which gave him in this, he has
Got double
three-quarters of it.
tomatoes. It's delicious.
Yeah.
I love tomatoes on my hoagie.
Well, I'm glad you do.
Yeah.
Your nominee for hero of the week is?
What an incredible story. And look, this carriage might turn into a pumpkin at any time, but Geno Smith was
That's exactly who I was going to say.
Geno Smith was a star.
That's exactly who I was going to
West
say.
Virginia. We're best friends, so I'm, great minds. He was a huge star like a dozen years ago. That was a long time ago. That would have been after the Pat White, Steve Slayton, West Virginia teams. And he goes to the Jets, and the Jets are, this is like if I have my math right or my years right, this is like the immediate post Rex Ryan,
Right.
Mark Sanchez time. Washes out immediately, and then essentially he's a backup. He's a nomad. He played for the Giants, the Chargers. I think there was another stop in there somewhere. But anyway, he ends up in Seattle. He wins the crappiest quarterback battle in league history against Drew Lock. Everyone's mocking it. And here he is. The Seahawks are 4-3 through 7 games, and he's been terrific.
And you know, Derek, I was yesterday listening to the Broncos radio broadcast. They were playing the Jets. And the Broncos radio announcers were looking at the scores, and they noticed that Seattle at 4-3, and that perfectly segues into our conversation of surprising teams. And they were saying, they're like, did Pete Carroll fleece the Broncos? Like, did he know? Did he see something here, not only in Russell Wilson, but Geno Smith? Because he's exceeding expectation. There is no doubt about it. He might be actually kind of foiling Seattle's plans.
Yeah.
Because, here they are at 4-3, and the Seahawks have been a nice surprise in that division.
Yeah,
and
for
he's
sure.
playing well.
Because we do sometimes make up
great
our
story.
minds early, and then somebody, like, how about this from yesterday? And he didn't necessarily play yesterday. He hasn't really played great the last season and a half or so, but remember, we had made up our minds that Ryan Tannehill was just a guy, and then he came to Tennessee, and he played really well for those first 2 seasons. And so this is a little bit different because Geno Smith really had like a season and a half and then washed out. But to be 32 years old and play this effectively, you got to give the dude some credit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been incredible.
I agree with Geno Smith, though, because it's a good story. He stuck by it, and here he is. He's playing at a high level and winning games for Seattle. So Geno Smith, our Hoagies and Hops hero of the week.
What's
now,
up? Surprises, right?
Surprises, Seattle would be one,
Mm-hmm.
and his old team that you just mentioned would be, I think, perhaps the biggest, the New York Jets.
Yeah, and the Giants, really. I mean, you could put them under the same umbrella. The Giants follow the same script every week where they basically trail for 98% of the game, and then they find a way to win.
Barely won yesterday over, came within a yard of losing to Jacksonville, but hey.
But that's the margin right now in the NFL where there are no – I shouldn't say no great teams. Like, I think Buffalo's pretty great. I think Kansas City, when they turn it on, is pretty great.
Kansas City's
but
pretty
for the
good.
most part, there aren't great teams.
What are you getting here? We're doing a TV show live.
I know. Yeah, I'm just getting a lot of calls. Sorry, I had to.
Who's calling?
Had to ignore it.
Do you want to check?
I think Ashley is off today, and I think we're meal planning for the week.
Let me tell you the history of the iWatch or the Apple Watch when it first came out. When the Apple Watch first came out, people said, I just love the Apple Watch because what it does is see, like when my phone rings or when I get a message and I'm in a meeting, like I ain't being rude and looking at my phone. So instead, people are doing this. Hang on, I'll be back to the meeting in a second. Oh, okay, yeah. So anyway, I'm done with that. But I didn't have to grab my phone. Same deal, right?
You done?
That's not even an Apple Watch, is it? There it is. It looks like a knockoff.
It's not a knockoff. It's a real deal.
Thought maybe you got that.
I only buy the genuine Apple products right here.
Yours isn't even. You don't have it
off of eBay, but I buy them.
You have a tomato watch. It's like an Apple Watch, but
is there a tomato on there? Where's a little bit? I love tomato on my sandwich for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad
Jets and Giants, good surprises. Bad surprises are still in first place, but
Tampa's and Tom Brady just looks weird.
I think Brady, Father Time's undefeated, right? And I'm not saying it's all him.
He looks emaciated, like something's going on with him.
Why wouldn't you just what is there left to do? He could have walked off after last year. Everybody would have accepted that divisional loss to the Rams, to the eventual Super Bowl champs. You were, if not the best quarterback in the league, you were one of. I thought that was an easy exit point for him, and he chose not to take it.
Negative, in terms of negatives, like what the heck happened to Green Bay?
Yeah, they're just not.
Aaron
good
Rodgers,
right now.
another
They're
one,
not
like
good right now.
always has to be around drama, right? Well, he's got plenty of it now because that team's not playing well. And I guess another tip of the cap in terms of like positive surprises, Minnesota. Nobody's talking about Minnesota, but they're they're what 6-1, 5-1, something like that.
Yeah, they're one of the few one-loss teams that are left. So it's been a weird year. Just as easily the Giants could go on a 1-6 stretch.
Did you see my helmet poll on Twitter?
I saw that you were doing it, but I didn't pay attention.
So
to
what
the
I'm
results.
doing on Twitter at Jake Query, JakeQuery, we're in our last division here. For each division, I'm having people pick which is their favorite helmet. Not the team they like, just the one that is the coolest looking helmet. Color scheme, logo, etc. So far in the AFC, the winners, and what I'll do is then, because on a Twitter poll, you can have 4 things. So we will pit the AFC, the NFC, we'll get a winner of each, and then we'll have our helmet design Super Bowl. The AFC winners, Derek, would you like to guess? The team in each division that was voted by my Twitter followers as the most popular look of the
Best helmet?
Yes.
Oh, it's got to be Buffalo.
These are all the current primary helmets.
Buffalo in the AFC East.
Buffalo's number 1
Okay.
was AFC East.
AFC North, Bengals.
Bengals
Yeah,
was
has
the
to
AFC
be.
North.
AFC South, just the clean Colts look?
Colts was
Okay.
the winner. I thought Houston would have
AFC
won
West
that.
Chargers.
Chargers won the West. NFC.
Ooh, NFC East. I love the Kelly Green with the Eagles, but I don't like their ones as much anymore, so I'm going to go Cowboys.
Eagles were the winner.
Were they? Okay.
Over the Cowboys.
Okay, that's fine.
NFC South.
NFC South, let's see. Best helmet. Not the Panthers. It depends which bucket. I like the Buccaneers logo. I've never liked their jerseys. I like let's go with the pirate flag on the sword.
Okay, the NFC South was the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. It's a little plain for my taste, but
NFC
fine.
North. Bit of a surprise here, in my opinion.
I don't know. I really like basically all of those logos. I think the Bears have, even though they stink, they have great uniforms, and I just love the clean. You know how I am about orange.
What are you about orange?
I love it.
You like Clemson?
Favorite color. No, hate them. Yeah.
I have a Clemson orange sweatshirt.
You made me listen to that game all the way back. Purdue's in this big game against Wisconsin. Ball State's playing, and I have to listen to freaking Clemson and Syracuse. Entire way on I-69.
New Orleans wins in the NFC South. NFC North was Minnesota.
Fine. You can go with
Now,
any of those. And be
dead
fine.
heat here in the NFC West.
Yeah.
This is the tightest so far. Nearly 500 votes.
Rams and Seahawks.
That would be what I'd guess.
Cardinals.
Cardinals just 10%.
Wow.
Rams and 49ers nearly
Oh,
tied.
yeah. The Niners have great uniforms.
The Seahawks, though,
Great
man.
uniforms.
If the Seahawks stuck with the original silver with the Seahawk on them.
Oh, I hated that one. Yeah. Like the 80s grocery store Toucan Sam logo.
It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I from the peak of your life was like 1989, so I would understand why you would really like that logo, but I think most people are like, oh, what is this?
It's basically the same logo they have now.
Like the Marsh We Value You era, like that was
Marshes.
that was your big time to shine. That was Jay Query's time.
You know, Bob Knight used to have his wife shop at Marsh's.
Yeah.
Get some groceries.
Get her a nice steak. Cook me a steak when I'm out fishing.
That's the exact
let's talk
commercial.
about happy things. They're losing. I mean, they have a losing record, I guess, and they're going to finish with a losing record. We can say that with some conviction. The young stars of the Pacers shining bright through the first couple of games.
Derek.
And we will talk blue and gold when we return. Still plenty of features to get to as well. Here on this edition of Query and
Use
Schultz,
a
I'm going to eat more
tomato.
tomatoes on ISC Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Derek, it's the dill sauce that she makes.
Oh, it's so good. I could drink it.
Yeah. It's really good.
Really good.
She does a really good job with that. Welcome back to Query and Schultz. We're talking about the sandwich from Hoagie and Hops. Again, 42nd and Boulevard, and it is fabulous, the Lancaster. You had mentioned, Derek, the Pacers.
Yes.
I went to the game Saturday night. They took on the Detroit Pistons. They were winless. The Pacers were 0-2 at that point. And that was the first time that I'd really gotten a chance to truly watch Halliburton and Mathurin and Aaron Nesmith and Stick Smith, Jalen Smith, Goga. That was the main group they stuck with. Nimhart got a lot of minutes. And it's not going to be consistent this year. There are going to be a lot of bumps in the road and a lot of inconsistencies. And there's always a challenge with this franchise and in the NBA to keep players interested about living and playing in Indianapolis, Indiana. But there was midway through the third quarter of that game Saturday night, Bennedict Mathurin hit a three. Tyrese Halliburton hit a three, and then Mathurin scored a contested shot in the lane, and Detroit called a timeout. And as they were walking off the floor, I watched Bennedict Mathurin.
Because for those that don't know, Jake has front row seats.
Not front row.
Second row seats.
Not second row.
Okay, third row seats.
You're getting close.
Okay.
So Mathurin was walking off the floor. I do not, by the way. Shannon has those seats.
Jake sits in third row seats.
And as I was watching Mathurin, he was looking at the crowd and doing this. And I've said this phrase in this way a lot, but I'm going to repeat it. Right then, I looked at it and said, Bennedict Mathurin knows he's that guy. And he is. And I think Tyrese Halliburton knows Bennedict Mathurin's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Nesmith was a nice young compliment to both of them. These two, assuming the Pacers at one time had Chuck Person and Reggie Miller at the same time. And you could see that Reggie Miller was going to be the guy, and Chuck Person knew that, and so they flipped Person into other pieces. Halliburton and Mathurin, they're not going to flip either one of those unless something goes awry. They're going to keep them as is. Bennedict Mathurin is going to be a favorite player of this franchise, this city, and this fan base very quickly and for a very long time.
Yeah, I love his confidence. I mean, remember the quote about LeBron in the preseason that got all that, or I guess in camp, that got all of that buzz. But that's who he is. He doesn't shy away from the fact that he's a super confident guy. He thinks he's the best when he takes the floor, and I love that. With him and Halliburton, a year ago right now, Jake, the Pacers had no young talent. None.
Right.
They didn't have any. And now they have two guys that look like franchise pillar type players. Now, that's not without warts. Tyrese Halliburton eventually is going to have to learn to defend a chair. That's going to have to be – I understand that defense is never going to be like the main proponent of his game, right? He's a facilitator, and now he's becoming more of a scorer. But he still needs to be competent defensively, and he's not there yet. And Mathurin, the way he's shooting and all of that, he's going to hit a rookie wall. He'll go through slumps and all of that too. But he looks the part. And I'll give him that through 3 games, is that he looks the part. And that's all you want, Jake. You just want to highlight these individual performances. Really, to me, and I'm not saying everybody feels this way, to me, the team result is irrelevant. Winning and losing, I don't care. How did you look?
Right.
And the fact that even against a San Antonio team that probably isn't going to be very good, even though they're off to a decent start, or the Wizards, who probably aren't going to be very good, they fought back. They had chances to get into that game, to tie that game late. And I think that's all you can ask for with this insanely young basketball
the other
team.
thing that was interesting to me as we continue to navigate and figure out what the Pacers are going to do with Miles Turner and whether or not Turner is expendable, they got really good minutes. It's one game. I get it. Jalen Smith very quietly put together a double-double with 15 rebounds. But Goga Batadze showed he was out there for a long time with those guys. He really did mesh well in terms of his rebounding, offering a little bit of an interior presence, but also his ability to through outlets and just maneuver the ball and put it in right positions. Goga, to me, made me wonder if, when he had kind of been dispatched, if now he doesn't actually make, in fact, a comfort level about moving from Miles Turner, which inevitably I think they're going to do at the trade deadline, and not necessarily worry about what they do size-wise, because as this team goes younger and looks forward to a new era, Derek, Goga could be a guy that is rotationally in that mix.
Yeah, we'll see, because they did not come to a rookie scale extension with him.
Right.
So he will be, if I'm not mistaken, he'll be an RFA, right? That's how it works.
Sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be a restricted free agent this year, at the end of this year. I think with Goga, at least now you're starting to kind of see it
right
a little bit. It needs to happen more consistent. Like, he's not going to do 15 and 15 every night, but if he gets a little more consistent, then perhaps he can be a rotational piece, and that's fine. I think people are trapped in this mindset of like what the NBA was in the 80s and 90s, where if you drafted somebody 13th overall, even at that point, you were still expecting that to be like a frontline starter level player. You're drafted somebody 13th overall in today's league. You're just hoping to get somebody that sticks, right?
If we were the NBA Pacers roster, who are we?
Oh, it's easy. Mathurin and Halliburton.
That's who the both of us are?
Yeah.
So which one am I?
Combined? Well, I think you're Halliburton in the sense that you're a little bit older and more established. You have tragic flaws that I don't have.
Did you just say I'm more established?
Yeah, dude, you're like 54 years old or whatever. Of course you're more established.
In what areas am I more established?
Well, you've been fired more. You've worked longer than me in the business.
I haven't really worked at all.
Well, I'm just saying, your resume says that you have worked longer than me in the business.
Okay.
And that comes with respect. But, I mean, really in this, I'm more like Bennedict Mathurin and you're like Tony La Russa. Like you're kind of...
I'm asleep at a red light?
You're at the wheel, but you're kind of falling asleep at the wheel now at this point. You're rounding third.
You know what I say?
Career?
If they knock on the window when I'm asleep, you know what I say?
What's that?
I'm a Hall of Famer, brother.
Yeah, North Central.
What? Tony La Russa. I'm a Hall of Famer, brother.
Yeah, God.
Don't try arresting me.
That was embarrassing. Don't you know who I am? At least, he is a Hall of Famer. It's not, don't you know who I am, John Boyette, the Colts draft pick, peeing himself at Tiki Bob's.
He ripped his shirt off.
Yeah, don't you know who I am? I'm a Colts draft pick. And I don't think he played 1 second in the NFL.
Correct.
He got cut immediately after that.
Correct.
But yeah, I just think finding something
Not
that
sure I like that lower third there.
They have Philly tonight. Yeah, Rick's got it right. They've got Philly tonight. They've got a long road trip here. They play Brooklyn twice.
Who?
In Brooklyn, in New York on Saturday and Monday. I think they have the Bulls this week as well. So we'll see them kind of out of the friendly confines of the field house and how they do. But I'm just looking for something to be encouraged by every night. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. In fact, losing is probably more beneficial for them in the long term.
Right.
If we're being totally honest about that. I just want to see encouragement, growth, all of that. Things to start to come together. Like just show me that you have a foundation and a plan for what this is going to be, because the Pacers for many years now, for the last 3-4 years, have not really had a foundation or a plan. They've just been kind of winging it with the same middling pieces that they always had.
The Pacers have made it very clear that they are in the midst of, let's call it what it is, a rebuild. They'll tell you it's a renovation, it's a rebuild. And they've tried to be upfront about that. They've tried to have been upfront about that, if that makes sense, because they know that patience is what they're going to need from their fans. But I'm curious to see how patient the fans are going to be if they're not winning games on the regular. There was a good crowd there Saturday, but it was also against Jaden Ivey. There were a lot of
and the opening crowd was really weak. I mean, that was for an opener. I know it's a Wednesday night or whatever, but that was a really weak crowd. And really, if fans can't accept that this is what this is right now, then I don't really care.
Right.
I think it's okay to not be patient with the Colts right now with where they are, but they're in a different place than where the Pacers are. Right now, the Pacers require patience. You can't scream at them to tear it down and then get mad when they start losing after they tear it down.
It was perhaps a sage move for the Pacers to decide to move on from what they were doing each and every year. Will that be our Sage Move of the Week? Well, we'll see. But Sage Move of the Week is brought to you by WGU Indiana. WGU Indiana is Indiana's largest online accredited university, and with that comes a number of different areas with which you can take advantage of it. 700,000 Hoosiers, for example, have college credits that are still out there that they did not finish their degree. Those credits do not expire. WGU Indiana is a place where you can finish that degree and become a college graduate. Or perhaps you're thinking about going back to school at the college level for the first time. Maybe for work you need a certification or something to enable you to move up within the workplace. That's what WGU does for you, because not only, as I'd mentioned, is it Indiana's largest online accredited university, but you're talking about a number of different programs where you work on your schedule online. That's the beauty of it. Work at the schedule in which you want to work, because ambition never rests. Neither does Sage the Owl. He is up all hours of the night with that head on a swivel, and so too can you be about your future. Derek, our Sage Move of the Week is?
I think the Sage Move is what the top of the 2022 NBA draft is doing through the first couple of games. Obviously, Chet Holmgren can't be part of that because of the injury, but you look at the picks 1 through 6, essentially, Paolo Banchero with what he did, especially in the opener. Mathurin, Ivy looks fantastic.
Ivy looked good.
Who am I missing there? Jabari Smith. And Keegan Murray. Right?
Keegan Murray's playing well. Right?
So, all those 6 guys through the first, and we're talking a handful of games here, 3-4 games, are averaging almost 20 points per game cumulatively.
Right.
That's pretty darn good. I don't care who you are, how established you are. If you're 19, 20, 21 years old and you're doing that,
in
that's
his first
impressive.
3 games, Mathurin's point total for the first 3 games of an NBA player are surpassed league-wide history, historically speaking. Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Isaiah Thomas, Jerry Stackhouse.
Yeah, wow.
Ben Mathurin. Stackhouse kind of doesn't really feel like he belongs in the rest of that group, but still, good player.
Stackhouse, I feel like we made a comparison where we used Jerry Stackhouse, and I felt like of all the bad comparisons we've made on this show, this was actually one of the rare good ones, and I'm trying to think of who that was. Like a guy who was never great, that was supposed to be like, remember, Stackhouse coming in the league, you thought was going to be like a franchise-level guy.
Right.
And he wasn't, but he spent like 20 years in the league and was a good player for all 20 years. And
Alex Smith?
I'm struggling to think of who it was. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. That wasn't the comp that we made.
Jerry Stackhouse is like Irving Fryer.
Okay.
Like Irving Fryer was going to be this dynamic receiver, and he was a solid player for a long time. But not that guy.
That's fine. I don't know. I'll think on it, and I'll see if I can't come up with it by the end of the show.
I'm going to go ahead and bet
college football, God, what a disaster. Just Purdue, Wisconsin, the same old thing, right?
We see this Indiana.
Seemingly every time with Purdue. Indiana's Indiana. They stink. We'll talk college football. We come back on the show. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate. They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time. Graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz, IC Sports Network.
You want to finish that sandwich before you take it out there?
I did. I did. What are you talking about? Look.
Well, now, yeah.
It's gone. Delicious, by the way. Lancaster.
You got it.
Lancaster. Sandwich at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd Boulevard, hoagiesandhops.com. Thanks to Vince, big Pacers fan, who is our new Allen. He's our director today.
Where's Allen?
Jordan. Well, Allen's retiring. Yeah.
Well, I didn't get that email.
Well, you're not really on the team here. You're kind of like an interloper into our family.
Okay.
You're just kind of here to get your check. All of us here to further ISC and the brand and all of that. And you're just here to be the eye candy, I guess.
You're here to further the brand. I am the brand.
Let's talk college football.
Not really. Not when it comes to ISC, by the way, who does a multitude of things around the state.
Yeah, there you go. The cash is still the check's still gonna clear regardless. Not a good weekend for Purdue or Indiana. Really, the last ditch effort. Indiana wasn't gonna get bowl eligible anyway, but now it's really over. When you lose to Rutgers like that, 14 donut, you've got the lead and you're driving and you blow it. The offense decides to stink again. Similar to the Colts.
You know what I'm about to say that I've said?
Is it going to be a Tom Allen thing?
Yes.
I mean, it's just...
I'm not trying to kick a guy when he's down.
No,
Tom Allen's
I understand.
He's a nice guy. He's a wonderful guy. He's a high-energy guy. This ain't it.
It just feels like there's no real coming back from this, right? Indiana's staring 3-9 in the face.
Indiana's stuck with it.
They're likely going to be a 5-19 stretch here in year 5 and year 6. No, I know that they're stuck with him. I'm just saying, there's no coming out of this for Indiana under Tom Allen.
Let me tell you something. If you are ever looking to buy a used car, buy it from Indiana Athletics. They are the worst bargaining people of all time. Literally, the first offer you make them. Well, unless you sell me this Mercedes S500 for $20,000, I'm gone. I'm going down the street. All right, we'll do it. Here, what do you want us to throw in? You want all the options? You want a warranty, a lifetime warranty? We'll do whatever it takes. We got to secure you. Then you drive away, and somebody goes, that guy had nowhere else he was going to go, right? Well, but he said he did. Okay.
I can understand why you thought after. What people kind of forget is that, yes, Indiana broke through in 19 and 20, but they were knocking on the door there for a while. They were knocking on the door.
Derek, hold on.
The Kevin Wilson era.
I want you to name for me 5 college football coaches that you consider to be the best coaches in college football.
Well, Saban.
Okay, Nick Saban.
Dabo
Sweeney, okay.
Jimbo Fisher, no. Jimbo Fisher is in a world of hurt right now. Let me think. Because I'm not ready to go there with Ryan Day yet. I have always, honestly, even though I was starting to get really skeptical 2 years ago, I've always been a Harbaugh guy. I think Harbaugh can coach.
Okay.
So I would put him in the top 5. Okay. I'm trying to think of anybody else in the Big
3.
Ten that I would
need
put.
2 more.
I'm trying to think of somebody in the Big Ten that I
only need 2 more.
Because I want to put Ferentz there anymore. I don't know if I would have ever really put him there. Definitely not Pat Fitzgerald, God, with what's happened there. I'm struggling to think of other great examples. Lincoln Riley?
Okay.
I guess. Look at Oklahoma now since he left, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
There's 4.
Is Brian Kelly top 5? I'd probably not. He'd probably be in the fringe of the top 10.
I'll put Brian Kelly up there. I think he's pretty good, right?
I think he'd be like 9 or 10 maybe.
Okay, well, there's 5 right there.
Okay.
Tom Allen has a bigger buyout than at least one of those.
Yeah.
Because he has the 4th highest buyout in college football. Indiana University, based on a COVID year 9-win season that led them to a bowl game where they lost to Mississippi and Lane Kiffin, decided that it was worth giving their coach the 4th highest buyout in college football in the United States. Because Indiana football, as it's always been, is the guy that immediately, just like exactly in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, when Ferris talks about Cameron and says Cameron's going to end up marrying the first girl that he's with. And in Indiana's case, as soon as they found a girl that's willing to kiss him at the dance, they are on one knee, let's get married. Tom Allen had a good year, and he has the 4th biggest buyout in college football.
Yeah, it drops to, I think it's $20 million after December of next year. It's a lot of dough. And unlike
another
basketball,
year of starting 3-0, getting excited, and losing 9 straight. Bring it on.
You don't have a football backing that would be willing, I don't think, to write that check. But I don't know. I might be wrong. A lot of times we talk about buyouts, and generally they find enough money in the couch cushions to make those happen. But
if your coach, regardless of sport, regardless of level, elementary school, middle school, high school, Derek, CYO, whatever it might be, if your coach every time the first 3 years that he's interviewed is selling a gimmick, be cautious.
Well, and he's just rotating through coordinators and position coaches, and everybody keeps getting fired and replaced, and the results sort of.
But they all love each other.
The same. My bar's not very high for Indiana. It's don't be the worst program in the Big Ten and potentially the worst in the country. Can you do that? And Indiana, the last season plus.
I mean, the one good thing is that they're historic now, right?
What do you mean?
Well, they lost, what was it, their 600th or 700th game.
Okay. Yeah.
They've lost 700
I didn't know you were going to
games.
make another joke there.
700
Let's talk about
games.
Purdue, who
you
actually...
got to celebrate that. Like, Indiana sold that short. That was at home, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why was there not a parade?
Let's talk Boilers.
Take the goalpost to Showalter Fountain and dump those bad boys in. 700 losses. You know how many teams would love to do that?
Yep.
Northwestern's tried. They've tried hard. Mm-hmm. Duke tried. 700 losses. You got to embrace greatness when it's right there at your doorstep. And they just passed by. In typical Indiana fashion, greatness was right there, just overlooked it. 700 losses career all-time, the losingest franchise program in the history of college football. And what do we get for it? The fourth biggest buyout in the country and not even a parade. What a shame.
Okay, Purdue still has something to play for this season. I don't know if it's rant-worthy, but they lost to Wisconsin for the 16th straight time.
You know what that is? 684 shy of 700. Okay. 700 losses for
straight
Indiana.
Times. And it's just one of those bugaboos for them. They just can't. I don't know what it is. This Wisconsin team is not very good. They got into 21 donut hole. They tried to furiously climb out of it, and they made it competitive in the second half, but you never felt like Purdue was ever going to win that game.
Let me ask you something. Did they have a rock?
It doesn't impact the Big Ten West standings that much.
Did they have the
Purdue
world's
is still in
biggest
control,
flagpole?
Seemingly of their own destiny, because you're not expecting Illinois to beat Michigan, and if you beat Illinois head-to-head, then you still get sent to Indy as the Big Ten West champs.
In Indiana, we have the rock, the world's largest flagpole, and 700 losses in counting.
Let's talk about
702 now.
We have Nate Marine. We have a lot of Purdue people that listen to the show.
They should move to Nevada because that's area code 702.
Okay.
But guess what? It won't be long before we're up to 703.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Speaking of Purdue, which we
765 coming soon, and won't that be fun? We'll get everybody in the area code to come down and celebrate because 700 went by like a ship passing in the night. 765 in Indiana, we will celebrate, baby.
All right. Speaking of 765, again, I'm going to attempt to transition here.
Okay.
That's the area code where West Lafayette, Indiana is, and that's where Purdue is located. Okay. Purdue still has something to play for this season. Let's talk about their loss to Wisconsin. It was a bad loss.
Wow.
It's a shame that they weren't able to exercise those demons, but they still have, technically, if things play to form, everything in front of them.
Right.
But again, Jake, it kind of goes back to the problem with Purdue is that you look at the schedule, and we said this, and we're going to sound like a broken record. Every team left you could beat, every team left you could lose to.
You're right.
And unfortunately on Saturday,
Purdue was never in that game. That's the problem.
Not really.
They got down early
not really.
and they were.
But Purdue fans know it's the same song and dance against Wisconsin. I don't know what it is. Like, did I?
Purdue, let me ask you this. If you are a Purdue fan, bigger house of horror, Wisconsin in football or Minnesota in basketball?
I mean, Minnesota has worse memories because the Hummel injury and all of that, but the biggest house of horrors for them, clearly, at least this century, has been Wisconsin football. I mean, not only have they lost there a lot, I remember the 09 team. The 09 team was pretty good. They had, it was the one random year that Joey Elliott was their starter.
Right.
And they had like Keith Smith at wide receiver, and they had a couple, Kerrigan was on that team, I want to say. They had a decent team, and they went to Wisconsin, and they were feeling pretty good about themselves. They won that year against Ohio State, and they won at Michigan. And they went to Wisconsin around Halloween and got housed. I think they got shut out. I think they got skunked like 30 donut. And it's that over and over and over again against Wisconsin.
How many miles is it from Bloomington to Madison?
It'd probably be 5 hours, so 280.
Yeah, that's probably about right. I was thinking like 350, which means round trip it would be 700 miles. 700, by the way. Indiana was 700 losses lifetime. Think about that. Just think about the greatness that is right there. And Indiana just let that pass by. How many?
380.
380, okay.
Yeah.
So guess what? Round trip plus 5 more, 765. And Indiana will be there soon.
6.5 hours.
Matter of fact.
You taking a covered wagon?
Indiana, if Indiana plays their cards right, and I hope they do, the buyout is such that Tom Allen will still be the head of the program when they lose game 765. And they can actually have the entire area code celebrate with Tom Allen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
There's no way. It's 6.5 hours to Madison? It's that long? From Bloomington?
From Bloomington, probably. Yeah, because it's about 5 from here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I did not expect it to be that long because you could get to Milwaukee in like 4 from Indy, right?
Yeah, but you've got to figure, and 45 minutes from Bloomington to Indy, and then another hour and 10 from Milwaukee to Madison.
I guess I thought Madison was much closer to Milwaukee.
But you wouldn't go over. You wouldn't go through Milwaukee though. You would go.
Yeah.
You would go up. You would actually go up, and then I think 74 over towards Janesville, and then up.
This says 39. There's an interstate that kicks that way. Okay. I've never been up. I hear Madison's super cool. That is one Big Ten campus I've never been to.
Do you like Bucky?
Yeah, the Badger. Yeah, Badgers are super aggressive.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah,
they're cool.
Like you would not want to be in the same room as
you know what animal?
Badger.
I saw a video recently of a little animal that was orphaned, and a rescue group is nursing him. That was a cute fella. Beavers.
Beavers can be very aggressive.
No,
Yes.
this guy's
yes.
Nibble is his name, and he was wonderful.
They can, like pigs, they can chew, and hippos can chew through bone, human bone.
No, that's-
Beaver. Oh, absolutely.
Hippos don't chew through anything; they just crunch. They just snap
If
it.
you put your arm up to a beaver, it could chew right through it.
That's no way. That's
100%. Like if you put honey or I don't know molasses, whatever beavers eat, and you slapped it on your arm and you stuck it up to a beaver, it would chew your arm right
Well, they
off.
wouldn't. I mean, if you gave a dog a chainsaw, it could run through
If
your
you
arm, but
starve
it
it
wouldn't
for a
'cause they're
while,
nice.
it would. If
No.
you starve pigs and you throw like a human into a pig pen, pig would eat up a human.
No,
Eat up
there's
the
no
bone.
way.
Yeah,
No way.
it was in a movie,
No.
so I know that it's true. Other college football, Notre Dame beats a bad UNLV team. Yay for Notre Dame. They're back
Notre
in
Dame, by
500.
the way, Clemson's next game. Clemson is off, and then they go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame is at Syracuse and then Clemson at home.
Does Clemson? Are they gonna have trouble with Notre Dame?
No, probably not. Probably not. Notre
don't
Dame
know.
still is real kind of helter skelter, and
But when they're good, they're pretty good, right?
yeah, they're okay. They're okay. I would think that Notre Dame would present the same challenge that North
Syracuse?
Carolina or Pitt would make for Clemson, like that kind of level of team. Let's talk Ball State. We were just there. We opened the show with that.
Wonderful
Beautiful
there.
afternoon in Muncie. Unfortunately, a 20-16 loss for the Ball State Fighting Cards to Eastern Michigan. One of the bright spots, Carson Steele, went over the 100-yard mark for the sixth time this season. 24 carries, 101 yards. But when you
Really
lose
good player.
in a coin flip game like that, when you lose a turnover battle, 3 donut.
Here's the thing
forget it.
Here's the thing about Ball State. I think Ball State has figured out that they do have, Carson Steele is their bread and butter. There's no doubt about it. But they can go through the air when they need to. I think their passing game is probably, Mike New maybe found more in that than even what they were expecting. But they're playing in a league in the MAC, as we talked about when we were up there Saturday at Schumann Stadium. This league is wide open, and there's a lot of parity within that league for a number of reasons. It's kind of almost designed that way. But what it makes for is great games, and it also makes for a team like Ball State to be right in the thick of it to try to get themselves into bowl eligibility and moving into winning a bowl game and getting into the conference finals in the MAC. They are still right there within striking distance of exactly that. And a reminder that tickets to go there, this is the best part about it, Derek. We saw a couple of tweets. I don't know if you saw. One guy said that he took his elementary school students up there. Another took their middle school football team up to see Ball State play. And he said, man, the kids loved it because they got to throw the football around. The team acknowledged them. It's Division I football. It's a big-time level. It's a great stadium, and it's just $15 to get in, which is the best part about it. And literally, I mean, from Indianapolis, unless you're coming from down in Johnson County, I mean under an hour. I mean,
Yeah.
50 minutes, 55 minutes. Easy drive.
Back-to-back big ones here on the road. They only have one home game remaining against Ohio, but Kent State and MAC West leader Toledo, who also lost this week in back-to-back games the next two.
So they've got the Ohio game. What is the date for the Ohio game?
November something, 15th.
November
Thank you, Rick.
15th. Okay.
Yep.
So there you go. Your chance to still go up and see Ball State play November 15th. BSUsports.com for
Or
tickets.
888 BSU ticket if you're still old school and you call. Time for our Love That Play, which has nothing to do with college football
I'm
at
about
all.
to sneeze, by the way,
But
Derek.
it's World Series time. We have a matchup. It's going to be the Phillies.
I just told you I was about to sneeze.
Gross.
So what do they do? They zoom in on me. What do you
Yeah.
mean gross? You're the one that was pawing on. It was probably that tomato that you had.
Old guy sneezing. Phillies and Astros
There's
will
gelatinous
be
there.
your World Series. A almost 20-win gap between those two teams. But our Love That Play, this is a guy that roundly was mocked for leaving the Nationals in free agency, and then Washington immediately goes on to win the World Series in 2019. But Bryce Harper's 2-run go-ahead homer in the bottom of the 8th inning clinched the pennant for the Phils. And, a 2-time MVP,
Great
a 7-time
player.
All-Star. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Now you really kind of get to cement yourself as a true legend if you're able to lead Philadelphia to a ring.
And, Kyle Schwarber, obviously
Yeah,
a
it's been
big
great.
part.
Yep.
Indiana has properly acknowledged Kyle Schwarber's baseball greatness and his connection to IU. I'm about to sneeze again. Which they should do more of about their 700 losses in college football. Nobody has done it.
2141, love-hvac.com for our friends at Love Heating and Cooling. They've been around since 1920, so they know what they're doing. And they're going to take care of your heating and cooling needs. This is kind of a weird
about
time
this,
of year
too.
where you got the AC on, you got the heat on, And if you're having any problems at all, give our friends Chris, John,
102 years, right? 102 years.
Yeah, that's how long they've been around.
If you lost 7 games a year for that entire time, you would have just 14 more than 700
Time to wrap up the show.
total losses.
Quick hits when we come back, and Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bull Bleep. This is a ticking time bomb. So
what is?
We're going to hop on the grenade here. Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages in a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Hi, welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz.
I got all my sneezing out of the way.
For a final time here, Bailey & Wood presents Corey and Schultz. 888-350-HOME. We'll start that again. 321. Bailey & Wood Financial Group presents Corey and Schultz. 800 BAWFG. Nobody calls anymore. Nobody calls. BAWFG.com for our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. Thanks to Mike and his crew for being great to us. 5-star
350-HOME.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds right. Yes. 888-350-HOME for our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group.
Derek, have you ever listened to the Cincinnati Reds on the radio?
Yeah. The Reds are on the radio.
That's right.
950 Days, Rake and I did a live show from Great America Ballpark.
Did you really?
Yeah, because we were the radio.
So
their
Reds. Flagship is WLW.
Yep.
There. What? I can't remember. What
700.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
700.
Okay. Well,
that's the key number of the day. 700, right? They ought to have, is it Pat Robertson? Is that his name? He ought to come out to IU. They ought to bring him to midfield. Hooray. The whole crowd can cheer. The 700 Club, Indiana football, and have him come out. That'd be awesome. Maybe get WLW do a remote out there, although they're past 700 now. I mean, they're like 702 and counting, but still. They didn't properly acknowledge that. 700 losses. That is awesome. I mean, again, Northwestern, couldn't do it. Amateur hour. Duke, but Indiana, 700 losses. I can't believe that just passed without the proper hurrah, pomp and circumstance that it deserved. If you're going to be good, be great. And if you're going to be great, be the best. 700 losses only at Indiana.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Restart the show?
Okay. I've never seen this look from you. You look angry.
I'll open up my laptop, and we can resume the show here.
You seem angry.
Still have quick hits to get to. Let's go ahead and get to quick hits. Well, I'm not going to read the first one.
What's the first one?
It has something to do with Indiana football, so I'll think of something else.
Go ahead.
Indiana basketball is, what are they, 13th in the poll? Okay, there's quick hit number 1. There we go. Let's move on from Indiana. Quick hit number 2. Aaron Judge won't discuss his future yet. You have to ask the question, right, but what are guys going to say? In the immediate aftermath of the loss, of course, they're not going to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm definitely re-signing with the Yankees. Aaron Judge, here's the direct quote. That's all going to run through my agent. I haven't even thought about the next step yet. Yes, you have. But like I said, we've got time to figure it out. So I'm going to stick with a really unpopular opinion, and I have friends back home that have derided me for this all season, especially as Aaron Judge is launching 62 home runs. The best decision for the Yankees is to not give a 10-year contract to a 30-year-old who had his second fully healthy season in 5 years. Especially when you have $300-something million tied into Giancarlo Stanton, which will end up being an albatross contract at some point, and $300-something million tied into Garrett Cole. Yankees shouldn't saddle themselves here. I know they won 99 games. I know they reached the ALCS. I know they won the division. There's just something at the core of this team that isn't quite right. I'm not saying that they need a full-scale rebuild, but they kind of have to do what the Astros have done, where the Astros have pieces go away, like Correa or whoever else. Right. They move on. Cole end up moving on to other teams, and they just replace him. They get Valdez, and then they bring him up, and then he's great, and they get Pena, and they bring him up, and he's great. The Yankees need to get into that habit of doing things, because as good as they've been, they're just the gap between them and Houston. I didn't expect them to get swept. I thought they would win a game. But the gap between them and the Astros is just too wide.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I want to go back to just the World Series matchup to begin with that before we go on to the Yankees.
I mean, we don't need to talk anymore about the Yankees than we just did.
If you would have set when the baseball playoffs came out the least sexy matchup of the World Series, would it have been Phillies Astros?
Well, because of the Astros fatigue.
A little of that, and Phillies fatigue too. Even though it's weird because I know that they haven't been around. You know what I mean? Like this is a resurgence for them, but
they have some big stars though.
They do, but they're just it's a Philly. You know, okay, Phillies, sure.
I don't think most people outside, and hopefully Christina's not still watching the show. I don't think most people outside of Philly fans like the Philly teams.
I think that's true.
I would think that,
I just think
most
Philly
people aren't
is
like, oh yeah, the Eagles, that's a feel-good story. I think most people, Philly's just very like abrasive, right? Like it's.
I just think of Philly as like dark, rainy.
Yeah.
Just kind of meh.
I just think Philly people, and it's a great city, right, with all this history, but it's just a very like
it's a great city.
Their fans don't have the best reputation, fairly or unfairly.
I think
part of that is there, but part of me, Jake, is a little torn on this because Philly has absolutely earned their spot. But if the sixth best team in the NL, who won 87 games, the third best team in their own division, gets a title shot, then what were the first 6 months of the year for? Like, why do I even care? Why should I tune in May? Why does that matter at all? Like, what are we doing having a 6-month regular season if this is what it's going to be?
By the way, Derek, you said Indiana's ranked 13th. Do you have a calculator?
No, I don't.
You do.
I'm not going to get my calculator out.
I'd like you to get your calculator out. Well, I'll do it then.
Okay, fine. You do whatever you want. I can't control what you do. I can only control what I do.
I got to thinking about
and
this.
My answer is
Indiana's ranked 13th in basketball,
yes,
right?
That is correct.
They won the national title in 1953, correct?
Yeah, one of their 5.
And a couple of years ago, they went to a bowl game with 9 wins, right?
Yes.
So what's
the Gator Bowl year?
What's 13 times 53.9?
I don't know. I don't care. Is it 700?
Here's the answer right there.
Okay, great.
That's 700. 700. Think about that for a second.
Final quick hit.
700
A Massachusetts woman unleashed bees on would-be evictors. And it wasn't even her house.
Would-be evictors?
Well, yeah. B-E.
Were they wooden bees?
B-E-E. A Massachusetts woman who released a swarm of bees on sheriff deputies as they tried to serve an eviction notice is facing multiple assault and battery charges. Rory Woods, 55 years old, so she's your age, and other protesters maintained that they were trying to prevent a wrongful eviction. The homeowner, Alton King, brought evidence of a bankruptcy stay of court the next day, so they say that the eviction should have stopped. Still, it's fine to protest things, but you can't unleash a swarm of bees on people.
Now, you said the police were involved?
The police came to the house along with the people to serve the eviction notice.
So when there is a mass thing of bees, swarm of bees, and you call the police to come help, you know who they bring, don't you?
You're going to make some Indiana football jokes, so go ahead and come out with it.
The SWAT team.
Yeah, the SWAT team. So that didn't have to do with Indiana football, did it? Okay, that's actually...
You know how many bees there were?
That's okay. There's 700 of them.
Yeah, how'd you know?
Yeah. Woods, who lives in Hadley, arrived in an SUV towing a trailer carrying beehives and started shaking them.
This is actually
breaking the cover
brilliant.
off of it. She put on a beekeeper suit to protect herself.
Smart.
And was eventually handcuffed, but not before several Sheriff's Department employees were stung, including 3 who are allergic to bees. When the assailant was told several officers were allergic, she said, quote, "Oh, you're allergic? Good," according to the report.
Okay.
She pleaded not guilty to all the charges.
Okay.
Yikes. Time for Chateau Kitchen's Buy or Bleed.
By the way, did you hear how they ended up arresting her?
I don't know.
It's a sting operation.
Yeah. Okay. Great. ChateauKitchens.com.
Do you ever get amazed by this?
At Chateau, I'm amazed that people enjoy that. Yeah, I am. That's what I get amazed by, and not get extremely frustrated. The people that are still tuned in, all 2 of you or 3 of you.
This is
Chateau
the best
Kitchens,
show we've had. What episode
disagree.
is this? What episode is this?
108.
Okay. Well, we are. Guess what?
Completely
We are
disagree.
6.5 away from. We're 6.5 times this amount from.
At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures. They do beautiful renovation work, not only kitchens, bathrooms, man caves, anything on the interior of your home. give our friends at Chateau Kitchens a call today, and they're going to take care of you. Here's what we do with Buy It or Bold Bleep. We go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bold Bleep. I give a statement.
Okay.
You guys know how it works. Statement number 1. We asked last week if the Colts were going to be a 10-win team. I said Bold Bleep. I think you bought it. Now the question is, will the Colts have a winning record in 2022? Buy it or Bold Bleep?
I do buy that. I think their schedule's somewhat favorable here on out.
It gets a little rocky coming up here. Eagles,
They've got a couple.
Cowboys, Giants. I mean, all those NFC East teams are pretty good.
They're going to beat the Eagles.
Of course they will, because they're just going to, be random. I'm going to say I was thinking about buying it, but now that I think about it, I think it would be perfect for this team to go 8-1.
Do you know one thing I thought
I think it'd be a perfect ending to this Ballard-Reich regime.
I thought about this.
So I'll say Bold Bleep.
Let me tell you a question I thought about the other day, Derek, and I've never asked you this question. Are the Colts the only team in the NFL whose logo changes colors whether it's on the helmet or off?
I'm not understanding.
Big surprise. Are the Colts the only team – look right in front of you, to your left.
Yeah.
Are the Colts the only team in the NFL whose logo changes colors depending if it's on the helmet or off?
But sometimes it's a blue horseshoe on a white background. I've seen that before.
Okay.
Even when it's off the helmet.
But then
that's my point.
Is it the only team whose logo can change colors?
Yeah, this would be, I think, the only team that would do something like I didn't understand where you were coming from, and now I get it. I can't think of another one. I mean, you wouldn't do like the Dallas Star would always be blue.
Did the Vikings are there ever Viking shirts with a purple with a purple horn?
No. The Bears C would always be orange.
Could you buy a white Viking shirt with a purple horn?
I mean, you could probably buy that, but the Vikings wouldn't use that logo, I wouldn't think. Like the Colts use this. Like this is an official
like do the Vikings have white coaches shirts that have a purple?
No, I doubt it.
This might be a great question for me to ask.
That's not bad, yeah. That's actually a positive contribution to the show, unlike basically everything else that you've done.
You know how long it took? Like 700 minutes for us to get there.
So far today. Illinois will be the Big Ten West representative in Indianapolis. Buy it or Bold Bleep?
I buy that.
They're ranked 17th now.
I buy that. And Derek, you know who their loss is to?
IU.
Could have been 703.
I have faith. And I don't know what I'm basing this on, really. I do think they're good enough to get here. But the Wisconsin loss is disheartening. I really thought that was a chance for Purdue to be like, hey, we're exercising some demons. We're taking a step forward. I think Purdue's going to be here. I do.
Okay.
And I think it'd be really exciting to see Purdue here.
Cool.
So
It'd be cool for either one of them. Either one of them would be cool.
I'll say Bold Bleep. I didn't have one for the last thing. I was going to do something related. You know how bad the Lakers look right now? My God.
Yeah.
I was going to try to do something NBA related, but I couldn't think of anything.
You know, it's interesting. Somebody raised the point with Russell Westbrook. Like, Russell Westbrook forever could scored and got to where he needed to be on the floor with his athleticism, but he couldn't shoot. And now his athleticism's gone, and he's just a guy that can't shoot.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen, and in a way, it's hard to feel bad for somebody that's making like $30 million, right? In a way, I feel it's gotten a little personal. I feel like the coverage of how much he struggled. Like I get it, right? He's a public figure, and they're expecting okay, but I feel a little bad that we've turned him into such a punching bag.
It's amazing how bad he is.
God, like I get dunking on people, and it's fun. It's fun to dunk on people, but I'm just kind of done dunking on Russell Westbrook. I get it. It's over.
You know,
he's cooked.
He can't dunk on anybody.
Whatever.
Anymore.
But let's not make it mean. Right. I don't think Russell Westbrook is a bad guy. In fact, I think he's kind of a funny guy. Yeah. He's part of those memes like, who's this dude? Like, stuff like that. Or eating the popcorn with the glasses or wearing jammies to a press conference. I would love that. I would just love to wear my jams to a
You
press
wear
conference.
pajamas?
Oh, yeah. Especially now when it's the overnight lows are getting into the 30s. Not last night, but yeah. I didn't wear jams last night.
You wear...
Well, it depends on the season. So wintertime, I wear jams. Summertime, nude. But wintertime, I wear pajamas to sleep. That's fairly normal, right? I think most people, I mean, I don't know what other people do when they're sleeping. But generally, my body hair is able to keep me pretty warm with just a sheet when it's hot outside. And I don't run the AC a lot. So in the summertime, I sleep nude. But then wintertime, I have my jams. button shirt and everything. It's silk. It's really nice. I don't know if it's silk. It's made in Malaysia, but it's great. Thanks to all of our great sponsors as well. Speaking of great,
Wednesday yet?
Lou Malnati's. Order.LouMalnati's.com and the Lou Malnati's studio. Our presenting sponsor, Bailey & Wood Financial Group. We've got
Hoagies and Hops.
Chateau Kitchens. I love Chateau. God, I love Hoagies and Hops.
Love heating and air
Chirp,
conditioning.
Ball State Cardinals as well. Who am I missing? There's got to be some.
Love heating and air.
Yeah, love heating and air.
Chateau Kitchens.
Yep.
Bailey and Wood.
We get everybody.
Lou Malnati's,
WGU Indiana.
Hoagie and Hops. WGU.
There we go. We got everybody. Thanks to Vince. Thanks to Rake. Thanks to Jordan. Thanks to you for watching. I would say thanks to Jake. I usually do, but I don't thank you for today's contribution. We'll be back next week with another dumb show. Until then, see you next time. This has been Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.